welcome once again to another edition of That's for Another Time. This is episode, I think this 12. Is episode 12, right? 12. I'm joined by Brock Lesnar / Jim White again. Mike, say hello. We're bringing the champ back. By the way, 2 appearances at the Royal Rumble. That's how tough this guy is. 2 appearances at the Royal Rumble. He'll go to WrestleMania as the featured guy, and he won the Rumble this year. So, Mike, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Congratulations, Brock.
Thank
really
you.
Good.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Didn't realize how good I was doing over there.
Yeah, he's doing all right. Well, not to mention the fact. How about actually? I don't really know if I want to start. Did you? There's no way you guys knew this. I did. Did you know that? So Shane McMahon is Vince's son.
Yes. He
got fired today from the WWE. Seriously, they deemed it he quietly got fired. His son, Vince McMahon, fired Shane McMahon. Now, I think it's a stunt, but can you believe that?
That's got to be a stunt. Come on. Has to be.
You know, I saw something on, scrolling through stuff on Google today, and they showed Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon in the ring last. Now, I don't know when it was from. And then they show Shane McMahon walking out, and it was Shane O'Mac.
Shane O'Mac,
yeah.
Yes,
I don't know when that was from. So was that from recently, or was it
he
from...
appeared in the Royal Rumble. I thought you know the inside story.
No, I did not. Wow. Triple H didn't tell me.
Okay, good. That's a good. He knows that Triple H is running it. All right, so first I want to get your guys' thoughts on the playoffs this week, and the 2 games that we saw.
Great games, right? Well, first of all, I did Wikipedia Galapagos, and it's not a quarterback for the 49ers.
I wanted to get to that.
We got that. Let's get that one out of the way. That first game, the Chiefs and Bengals, how good is Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
He's like the new Joe Namath, like with the fur coat, the big chain and all. Like there's no fear in that guy. And I'm actually glad, and I've never really liked the Bengals, but I like Joe Burrow, and I'm glad the Bengals made the Super Bowl. I didn't want to see another, although Andy Reid, think about it, 4 straight championship games with the Eagles, and now 4 straight with the Chiefs. This guy almost has to go down as one of the better coaches in the history of the NFL. But that being said, I'm actually glad they lost. And as good as Patrick Mahomes is, his problem is he tries to do sometimes too much and make the great play. Instead of doing something stupid, that game, they should have won that game with 5 seconds left down on the goal line.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
I did not understand that.
You mean you didn't agree with Tony Romo letting him score, by the way?
Well, $18 million a year. He knows everything. So I did see somebody say that he should be a defensive coordinator in the NFL. I forget where I read it.
To allow the touchdown.
Yeah, but, everything that he says, he calls out every play before and all that. And I'm watching the game, and you're right. He's like, should let him score. Like, no, you're up by 3. Yeah. You want to hold him to at least 3. And if you do let him score, now you're down by 4. I believe they had no timeouts left. You're throwing the game away. I don't get it. Stupid stuff by Romo at the end of the game.
Mike, what did you think of these games?
Well, I thought the Bengals-Chiefs game was a tale of 2 halves, and it all turned for me at the end of the first half when Kansas City didn't score. And then Cincinnati came out in the second half and looked completely different, and I thought Kansas City looked completely different in the second half. They were tentative. They didn't do anything that they did in the first half. So I'm a big Joe Burrow fan. Good for the Bengals. The guy's smoking cigars and doing all that shit. That's awesome. And then I thought the NFC Championship game was a little. It was a good game, but I never really felt like San Francisco was in it, to be honest. I didn't feel like Jimmy Garoppolo was ever going to lead them down the field to win the game. And then at the end, Carson Garoppolo showed up with that half-assed shovel pass for an interception. So, yeah, that's my ode to Carson Wentz and his tomfoolery, by the way. So,
you know what I noticed? Just slightly off topic with that, but Odell Beckham, right? You watch him, every catch that he makes, the hands. He catches every pass with his hands. And I find it amazing. Like, the guy, he's gotten a lot better. But you watch other guys go over across the middle, trying to cradle everything. He doesn't care. I mean, he learned at a young age how to catch the ball, and he probably will be my guess is he'll be the difference in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think, I tell you, that's a guy, he's completely different, right? He's not a fucking dick. He's just a player now. Like, right? He's just not, I don't know what the hell happened, but he's not an asshole anymore. Well, not yet. Let's see, but he's not.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, if you had hands like Odell Beckham, you probably wouldn't have got caught stealing that copper mug out of that bar in Tempe.
First of all right, that full story is for another time. But that was not me. Actually, it was me. But hey, you need the right shit for a Moscow Mule. So that's for another time. Good one, by the way. Yes, that was me. You're right. I would have been able to just cover the damn thing. But now I got kits. Now we got kits, which, by the way, I'm not sure if we're going to give another one of those away for the Super Bowl because every freaking year that shit leads to damage. And I do not want to get, I was sick. Well, I didn't get sick the next day, but I got ripped beyond ripped, like the worst ever last year. That's why I sent you that nipple. I remembered now you couldn't make it, and I sent you that nipple through Amazon because I didn't think you were going to be drinking anything.
That's right, you did. Yes.
No, look, every good guy's story always starts with "watch this."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I got a couple things. I don't know if I want to talk about. So I don't know if you read the notes, but did you notice the dog concussion nugget on there? Did anybody wonder what the hell that was?
I did. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So I got to be brief with this stuff. So here's what happened. This is another one. This is another one of these examples of me doing something good because I get ripped all the time. It's not like when I shook junk hands. Not that, which is for another time because I have that. That's another one. You never heard. Well, you remember Bill? Well, I shouldn't say his name. Should I?
Bill S.
All right. You remember the big guy that right? Do you remember? Yeah. Oh, his kid squealed like a pig, remember?
Yeah.
All right, I got a story about that. This is one of those examples. So I'm sitting on the floor last night in the bedroom, and I'm petting Faust, and the girls are always kidding me. I mean, DJ, I love that dog. He's my buddy. So they're always joking that I don't give Faust enough love. So I'm laying on the floor, and I'm sitting there, and I got my head down, and I'm petting him, and DJ is playing with Ava's dog, Remy, and comes full bore at me and hits his head right into mine. Right into mine. And I'm like, I'm dazed. I swear I had a concussion last night because the freaking dog. So there's one of those where no good deed goes unpunished. I'm petting Faust and I'm giving him some love. And DJ cracks me in the head with his head. I think I had a concussion.
That some bitch hits hard, huh?
He does. He put his foot in the ground when he delivered the blow. I was
when you came to, were you and Faust using the glory hole?
No. No, let me tell the glory hole story again because you brought this up a few times. This was him and Kathy come over. I don't think it was for the Super Bowl, was it? Was it that September when you came over that regular season, that college football day? I think.
I think so. Yeah.
So Faust has got pit bull in him. So apparently pit bulls they like to burrow. So they'll not Joe. They'll dig with their blankets. So he's got a bed right in front of the TV at the other place. And he's got holes in it because he keeps digging at it. So Kathy is not there 15 seconds. She walks in, sits down, and goes, "Oh, what is that, a glory hole that your dog's got right there?" Right? I mean, right, 15 seconds is a glory hole now. So that's where he keeps talking about the glory hole. Yeah.
Oh, did Davis see the second half of the game the other day?
Good one.
Oh, good one. Yeah, he made it through the whole game.
Good.
He made it a point to text me.
Oh, had
to.
So I promised not to rip him. That was rough last week. I realized that watching that again. That was rough. Like 15 minutes just bashing him. That was classic. All right, so that's why. So the other thing I did, and I want to tell it. So I pulled a muscle in my back last. What the hell was that? Saturday. So let me. So I fucked my back up again. Now it's the other side. So it's a muscle. Now I'm going to explain this. I had to get more medication for the next day. It was bad. Like I couldn't move. It was probably worse than the refrigerator. But I did it while exercising.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
I was exercising. Yeah. I did it. So I didn't want to go to the doctor because I didn't want to have to tell them what happened. Anyhow.
Yeah.
That's as far as I'm allowed to go. There we go.
You're getting jiggy with it.
Yeah, yes. So that's what happened. So my back is still a little fucked up, but it's got better. But that was. I had a cup anyhow. Yeah, I shouldn't go any further because I wanted to bring up Angelo thinking the Vikings GM is cute, but let's wait a little bit. So let me think of it. So tell the Galapagos story before we get into it, because I got a couple of stories about me shitting myself and Sean and all that. So tell the Galapagos story that happened a couple weeks ago.
So a person that shall be unnamed again because I don't want to get in trouble.
Same one who thought it was Debris, by the way,
Yes.
or Derbis.
Yep.
Derbis. We're watching the 49ers
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and they mentioned Garoppolo's name. And she's like, why are they talking about the Galapagos Islands?
Yes.
And you just sit there and you think, and I'm going to steal this line from my one friend that I used to work with. That's why they'll never rule the world.
That's exactly what he said. She defended herself right away because she's like, I said it. She's like, I thought you said Galapagos, and I was wondering why you were talking about the Galapagos Islands all of a sudden. Wasn't there a pro wrestler from the Galapagos Islands? It wasn't Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He was from the islands of Samoa. But I swear there was that. So she corrected herself right away, and then we immediately said, here we go. This is going to be information. This is why when the dog headbutts me last night, I got more entertainment.
It kind of knocks everything into place, right?
I guess. So, I swear I had a concussion because I felt nauseous. It's all right now, I think. I don't know. Anyhow, it was worse. I never tell you I got hit by a foul ball at Iron Pigs. I got a concussion from that. That's for another time. You never heard this. I got to tell you, that's for another time because I want to wait till I got hit in the back of the head by a foul ball at Iron Pigs. I was out for like 3 days.
You almost want to say that explains a lot.
Yeah, it does. What I was going to get at, I'm going to save that story for another time. But I swear this one was worse. I swear him hitting me in the head was worse. So you're right there.
Yeah.
Even the giraffe was laughing.
So. I did, yes. Yeah. That giraffe didn't take one in the back of the dome.
No. So I'll have to they gave me the batting helmet's down here. Yeah, I'm going to do that for next week. That's for another time. That was another, well, the dog's coming down. Anyhow, so last week we talked about our buddy Sean shitting himself at Best Buy. So now I'm going to tell this, and I'm going to try to get it right. Because I realize that we usually talk about piss in every episode right out of the gate. So that's why I wanted to wait a little bit before we talked about shitting himself. So he claimed, so he was at his house, he had a stomach virus. And as we always say, another bad decision. He decided it was going to be okay. Well, he ate something before he left.
I think they went out to eat before that.
Yeah, he went to eat and then decided he's going to go to Best Buy. So he's in Best Buy and he's got to shit himself so bad that he actually shit himself in Best Buy.
Yes.
Went into the bathroom. It was just awful. He just took his underwear off and threw it in the fucking garbage. So can you imagine the next guy rolling in there and there's a pile of shit in the fucking garbage on somebody's underwear? Now, you do realize, if you logistically break this down, that it had to have gotten on his pants. There's no way he just shit and his underwear held it.
Right. Well, maybe he sharted.
No. From what I understand, he had to throw his underwear away.
Well, you're still going to have to throw the underwear out if you shart.
That's true, but it sounded like, and then he comes over. He's told this story a bunch of times. The one time we have new people coming over to watch football, and they're here like less than a minute, and he's telling this shitting himself story at Best Buy, like doesn't even think that maybe I should hold off on this one a little bit.
Is he like George Brett? Is he good for that about 2 times a year?
That's true. That's what George Brett said, right?
Yeah. After telling the story of him shitting himself in the casino in Las Vegas, he ended with 2 things. Number one, he said, I'm good for that about 2 times a year. First of all, you're in the Hall of Fame. Who shits himself 2 times a year? Right? You're a Hall of Famer. And then the last thing he said was, who's the pitchers in this game? Like it was no big deal, right? I just told a story about me shitting myself. Who's the pitchers in this game?
So, obviously, the greatest humor in the world is bathroom humor. Yes. Because I don't care. 52 years old, I still have the mentality of a 14-year-old.
Yes.
Bathroom humor is the funniest story to me. And it always seems that when you walk out of the house or you leave work, you're like, I wonder if I got to go to the bathroom. And you're like, no, I can make it. And then... Never. And then you're about halfway home, and you're like, oh, my God. This isn't good. Am I going to make it? So there was one time I left work, and I was like, I think I got to go to the bathroom. I'm like, no, I'll be able to make it till I get home. So I get off the exit. I go over the bridge, get off the first exit, and go up College Hill.
Right.
I call Nicole, and I said, do me a favor. And she's like, what's that? I said, unlock the front door because I'm coming in hot. And so I get to the Exxon station, I turn down Old Mill, and I'm on the phone. I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, I think I might have to go to the gym over there and just run in and use the bathroom. This is how bad. And then the pain goes away. And then, of course, when you're about, 50, 100 yards from home, the bubble comes again. Yes. And you're like, oh, my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And you're like, holy crap. And fortunately, I made it home, thank God, without any accidents. But, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Jim brings up a good point here. It's nuanced, but this is real. When the first wave goes away and you get that break from the first wave of the pain, you have a limited window.
Yes.
Because when the next wave hits, it's coming. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's like a freight train.
Yeah.
So you better get in position before that second wave hits. Otherwise, you're shitting yourself.
They used to call it the Jimmy White Shuffle in my old unit. When I get in at 5:30 in the morning, I'd be like, get out of the way. They're like, the Jimmy White Shuffle. And so, but God rest my father's soul. I've told this story hundreds of times. I don't think I ever told you guys this. My parents come pick me up from school after football camp. And we stop at the local restaurant. And I'll never, my dad gets a hot ham and cheese. All right. So we're driving home. And we get on Route 80. He's like, ooh. I'm like, what's the matter, Dad? He's like, yeah, I kind of got to go to the bathroom. I'm like, all right. You'll be all right. So we're getting ready to get to our exit. And he's like, listen, I'm going to stop at the gas station. Get me $10 worth of gas. I'm going to run in. I said, okay. Now, the gas station's probably like 5 to 10 minutes from the house, depending on traffic lights. So we get off the exit. He drives past the gas station. I'm like, I thought you had to go. He goes, I can make it. I said, okay. So now we're on Maywood Ave. We're making a left on the side street to get down to our house. And he lets out this wail. It sounded like it was like a high soprano sound, right? I burst out laughing. My mom's sitting in the back seat of the car, and he's like, "Oh, all right." I was like, we burst out laughing, and my father looks at me and goes, "Hey, Jimmy, it ain't fucking funny." Right? He pulls in the house, pulls in the driveway, leaves the car door open, just gets the keys out and runs into the house. My mom and I are sitting there in tears. And we walk out and we're looking at him. He's like, yeah, sorry. What do you want me to tell you? I had to go. But that, to me, the one story about my father is the most humanly story possible because it happens to everybody.
Well, my dad, I don't want to tell this today. My dad shit so bad in Canada once that you could smell
it. They deported him?
No, he insisted that they close the bathroom down. But it was happened when we were young. And we referred to as the Canada job. It was awful. So here's my story of shitting myself because it's happened a few times. So it's my first year of doing states for wrestling. So I had a stomach virus to begin with, and I'm leaving to go out there. And once again, I've made a wise decision. So I haven't eaten anything. I figured the only way that my stomach viruses go away is if I don't eat anything. So I went 24 hours. I decide I'm about an hour in that I'm going to stop at McDonald's, of course, and get a cheeseburger.
Good call.
That's bad decision number one. So I drive out there. Now I'm going to stay in a hotel. So it's 2:30. I think it's 2:30. It's not 3 o'clock yet, which is crucial because most hotels won't let you check in till 3. So it's 2:30. I'm pulling into the thing. I decide it's okay. to let one go. All right, it's okay. It's gonna be fine because I gotta rip one, so I'm gonna rip one, and I proceed to shit myself because. Again, I've just eaten a cheeseburger, multiple, and like now it's like, like it's okay. It's okay to go. You gotta fucking rip one. So I rip one and shit myself. So now I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go in the bathroom. And then they're like, because now I obviously am concerned that when I get up to go into the restaurant or to the hotel, that there might be a mark there. So I'm like, all right, I'll go in. I'll go to the room. I can change. They're like, oh, you're sorry, your room weren't ready for another hour yet. So I went into their toilet, finished the job, and then I drove around. Now, I also literally shit the bed that same weekend. I shit the bed. I obviously had a legitimate stomach virus. I wake up, and I took the sheets and everything off the bed and put them in front of somebody else's door down the hallway thinking they're not going to know it was me. Right. Of course, they come into my room and there's no sheets on the bed. I think part of it was nerves, but that's two wise decisions of deciding it's safe, which is from then on you would think, don't ever do that again. It's not worth ripping one because it's not safe, and I shit myself. There we go.
A friend of mine was driving out to Queens one day, and he had the same problem. He kind of like sharted, and he pulled over into this rest area. Apparently that rest area at that time, early morning, is known for alternate lifestyles.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he said he pulls in and he always has a bag in his car with like clean clothes. So he changes his underwear, and as he's changing, a guy came up because he thought he was there for something.
He was
else.
the next client.
And he looked in and he saw it, and he says, the look of disdain on that guy's face when he saw what happened to me, he just like shook his head and just turned around.
Just want to point out that guy thought giving another guy a freaking whatever is way better than, oh my God, the guy shit himself. Yeah. Oh, that's awful. Yeah. That's what just happened.
Well, you guys live slightly different lifestyles than I do, so I don't have a story of doing that, but I do have a story of something close. A few years ago, I was on a work assignment and we got sent to Europe. And Doug, if you remember, I had come back to see you for the Super Bowl, and then I went back to Europe from there.
Yes.
Spent a few months, and Kathy came with me, and so we were in London. And my company has an office there in London. And so we had gone there for some meetings. She came along with me, and we're in this really nice boutique hotel. And if you've ever been to hotels in Europe, they tend to be smaller than American hotels. And so there wasn't a lot of room in it. It was beautiful. It was immaculate. It was really super high end, but it was small. And so the bed kind of sat up against the wall. And so we're in there a couple of nights, and they have maid service, and they cater to you. And I get up one morning to go to this meeting at the office, and I get up, and there's white sheets, and I get up and I see like this big around. I see what looks like a pile of shit in the bed, and I'm like, what happened? Like, I don't remember. Did I shit myself sleeping? Like, did I rip one and shit the bed? And so I'm like, what do I do, right? Like, because Kathy's laying on the sheets. I can't, like, nothing I can do. I'm like, this is embarrassing. It's high-end hotel. I shit the bed. And so she rolls over and wakes up, and she looks at it, and she's like, what happened? So I'm like, it's you. You did it. Right? So
deny.
Yeah. After some back and forth, we realized that night they had put some chocolates on the pillow. We didn't know it. It like fell down. I laid on it all night and it melted everywhere. It was chocolate. So I went down. I made an explicit trip down after I got showered and dressed to tell them, which is equally embarrassing. I just want you to know, I didn't shit the bed, but one of them chocolates did melt everywhere, and it's probably ruined the sheets. So.
Yeah, they're like, sure you did.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah. They're like Bill Murray, right? They're like, that's okay.
Yeah. It's all right.
Oh my God, you could do like an hour on shit.
I got another shit story that involved Ava that I don't want to tell. I gotta. All right, I'm gonna.
That was just a slice. Just a slice.
It wasn't a slice. This was another. Yeah, I want to save that for another time because I want it. Now I'm going to transition from shitting stories to this ridiculous thing that's going on in the NFL with Flores and now Hugh Jackson. So now I'm going to go from talking about shit to immediately being serious. Here's what I'm going to say, and then I want you guys to tell me what you think. Whether or not, so some side is not telling the truth. Either Flores and Jackson are making this up, or the NFL is not telling the truth about the fact that or the organizations are denying this. Somebody is going to look like a complete horse's ass when this comes out, whether it's the Browns or the NFL or whether it's the two guys.
If you're giving your coach an incentive of, if Flores is right, $100,000 to lose games just so he can wind up, getting a higher draft pick, that to me, that goes against everything of competition. I do think that if I'm the owner and I say to my coach, like, listen, we're not a good team. Obviously I want to be competitive, but if we wind up with a higher draft pick, it's going to help us in the long run.
But that's not what he's saying.
Right,
that's
correct. I know that, and that's, if true, how can this guy own a team still?
Well, that's right. I mean, Mike. Right, I mean, that's what the first thing is that somebody's coming out of this looking really bad, and that's right. You're either banning a guy from coaching forever, or your owner is never.
So I don't think the NFL gets the benefit of the doubt, right? I'll play the devil's advocate here. I don't think they get the benefit of the doubt because Daniel Snyder still owns a football team.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's been like the things that have come out and been corroborated that he has done with that organization would get anyone else in the world fired 10 times over.
Yeah.
And so it's not beyond a stretch of the truth, or I didn't look at it initially and think, wow, that doesn't seem real, right? Like you think back about Snyder, Jimmy Haslam for his ownership of the Browns, that's been a shit show from day one, right? So I didn't look at it and immediately think, oh, he's full of it. I immediately thought, hey, he's probably right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that, and I'll be the moderator about this, the thing that gets me is, first of all, Hugh Jackson would, no joke, would be a millionaire. He would have earned over $3 million because he lost 31 games in 2 years. But wouldn't you have said something then? Like immediately when Hugh Jackson got fired for, by the way, being the worst head coach ever, wouldn't you have thought that he would have said something then? Like they asked me, like it would have come out at that moment. This isn't fair. I only did what they wanted me. Like that's the thing that gets me, is that I would have thought that he would have said something then, because the Browns obviously because now he's never gonna I see he's coaching at Grambling State, but he's not gonna get. That was 2 stints in the NFL. He was horrible at both of them. I would have thought he would have been forced to say something at the time.
So in defense of him, he goes to the Raiders. At the time, the Raiders were in disarray, so they hired Hugh. Players liked him, didn't work out. Conspiracy theory wise, now he goes to the Cleveland Browns, and we talked about it when they were on Hard Knocks. And if you remember Haley, and I forget who the running back coach was. They kind of partnered up to say, we need these guys to practice. And Hugh sat back. He's like, when you're sitting in this chair, it's a lot different. And, I need to protect. So did he know? Obviously, he must have known back then.
I guess.
It's hard. Because I find Hugh Jackson to be a very personable guy. And I kind of, I enjoyed him on Hard Knocks. Yeah, I did.
Well,
yeah. Let me ask you a question, Doug. If you're in that situation, if you're the head football coach, I think here's the here's the fork in the road, right? The owner comes to you and says, "Hey, we're going to do this. And I'm going to pay $100,000. I'm going to pay you $3 million over 2 years, right? You're going to get $3 million, and I'll do it like quietly. You have to sign an NDA. What do you do?"
Well, I guess that's what must have happened.
Well, no. If he signed an NDA, he wouldn't be talking about it.
I mean, I'm assuming
Usually
that
an NBA.
you basically have no choice there because
you're an at-will employee.
The owner is the guy that's right. What I'm saying is if that happened then and they fired him immediately, that's when I would have thought that this would have come out. That this would have come out. I mean, but did Matt Patricia tank on? Did Gunnar fucking whatever? What was the guy that
Gunther Cunningham?
Gunther Cunningham was the one that went 0-16. Like, you just wonder if there's other guys. It's just somebody is going to look really, really bad, whether it's the NFL, the teams, or these guys for coming out and doing this. Because apparently, from what I'm reading, is everybody's backing these coaches. I agree. If your owner tells you to do it, you have to do it because you're going to get fired. But I'm surprised it didn't come out sooner. That's kind of what I'm getting.
So
Getting at.
You're going to see a John Gruden scapegoat in this whole thing. It won't be numerous people.
Right.
It'll be one because there's, protect the shield.
Yeah.
This won't even see a courtroom.
That's the thing.
This is going to get not swept under. This will be a settlement. They'll come out and they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're not allowed to talk about it." But somewhere they'll show leaked emails of which owner do we hate and we're going to get rid of. And Jerry Jones got out in front of it today, saying, if true, this is terrible. We need to do better. And I support Jerry Jones 100% on what he said, but. Some owner is going to pay the price for this, and they're going to get forced to sell the team. So, and who knows? And deep down in basements all over, in the NFL offices, they're going to look which owner has the least amount to lose because they're not solvent in their money, and then they're going to throw him under the bus, and they're going to get him to sell the team, and someone else will come in and buy it. But there'll be one scapegoat. There won't be multiple, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. They'll do what they did to Jerry Richardson with the Panthers, right? And he'll agree to settle and go quietly and sell the team, and off you go. Right.
Yeah, I know there's more to this. What's interesting is all this is coming. All this is coming out now. I mean, this is getting worse. I would imagine that there's going to be others that are going to have something to say. But I agree with Jim that players have talked about how, the whole NFL Shield thing, and you don't ever go against it. And if you do, you're in trouble. So this will be interesting to see where this goes. This, of course, overshadows Minnesota trying to hire Jim Harbaugh.
You see that?
Out. Yes. Yeah.
But I guess, Brian Flores is, you see Kaepernick took a knee and pundits say he got blackballed and that's not discussion, to really get into. But I guess is this the next logical step, and I don't mean that in a bad way because you really kind of got to be careful what you say, but is Flores right with this? See, I think with this whole Giants and Dolphins and all this and Belichick sending out a text, I think Brian Flores is 100% right. I do. But I also think the Giants are 100% right in the way they handled it.
Right.
So there's just no, and I talked to somebody today and he's like, Belichick's a crafty guy. You think he's not trying to stick a Goodell with this? Do you think he really made a mistake and didn't texted Brian Flores on purpose to do all this? I actually think that it was an honest mistake. And first of all, the Giants are not telling, Bill Belichick, hey, we're hiring this guy. It's all hearsay, what he's saying. So I do think Brian Flores has a very good point. Like, if I'm going in there just to check a box, don't even give the interview. Like, the guy's a good coach, and I wanted him to coach the Giants.
There's a couple of things that are classic. So Angela and I always send smiley faces to each other when we send texts, and I've accidentally sent them to dudes. I think I did it to Mike once. That's not as bad as inadvertently sending a text to the wrong Brian, by the way. The other story that I think is hilarious, and I know it, is the fact that the Elway and the Broncos executives were ripped the night before and showed up late. I mean, hell, even we've never done that.
Yeah, but maybe they were on mountain time still.
That could be it. That time's fucked me up before.
Good
right?
one. Maybe they went to Wendy's that morning.
Yeah, to Wendy's. That fucked it up. That was But that's what there is some classic oopses that are coming out.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be bad. I think I agree with Jim. Right, that Flores is right on many things. I think if a team, regardless of who it is, interviewed somebody and they already had made a decision and extended an offer to somebody else 3 days in advance, that's wrong.
Absolutely, 100%.
Flat out, that's wrong.
Right.
And that needs to be, I don't know how you fix it, but it has to be addressed. That's wrong.
Right. And to play devil's advocate for Mara, to say that he reached out to Flores and said, you're a serious candidate. We want to interview you and all that. And then, it does come down to the 11th hour. And a week before, they hire the new general manager, and they're like, we're not getting involved. We're going to let him make the decision. I will only overrule if there's, character issues in there. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And they hire Dable. Now, you knew. You can any team that's hiring a head coach, this guy's the favorite. This guy's the favorite. So every other interview with whoever black, white, female, male, it's semantics at the time, because you know who you want. Unless that guy totally fucks up the interview, like this guy couldn't coach his way out of a closet. So you need to do your due diligence and interview everybody and say, all right, you know what? We went in thinking that this was the guy, but it turns out this guy gave a great interview and he deserves to be hired. So maybe Flores did give a great interview and Mara wanted to hire him, and he looked and said, we're not going to get involved. We're letting the GM make the call. That's what they said the week before.
Yeah.
If Mara wanted to and Tish wanted to get involved, they said, no, we want to hire this guy. I don't know. Did Shane, however you say his last name, is friends with Greer down in Miami? Is there, what did he hear from back channels? Like, there's a lot of, you just can't put on ESPN and say, oh yeah, like this is it, and I'm not trying to be insensitive or anything. There's more to this story, and everything has got to play out. And what I really hope is that I don't want to see this guy get blackballed from the NFL. I want him to get another job. And you know what? Maybe the best place for him to go to, if he always wanted Deshaun Watson, bring him to Houston. Take him to Houston.
Well, here's the thing. I wanted him in Minnesota.
Right.
Because I thought he was motivated after getting fired from the Dolphins. Now I think the motivation is even greater.
Right.
Because now you want to prove even more that you deserve to have a job.
I think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to get blackballed. He's going to wind up getting another job in the NFL, whether it's a defensive coordinator or something for a year or two, and then next year when new job openings come out again, they're gonna he'll get hired again. But Miami. If you really want to look at this whole thing, Miami started this whole problem. The guy never should have been fired to begin with.
No, not for that.
Never should have been fired.
No.
And we talked about it last week when you asked Mike about what are they saying down in Miami about Flores.
And he had issues with the owner then, basically, right?
Yeah. Here's what I know, Doug. I don't think that Brian Flores is going to take a Christmas tree and put it on Bill Belichick's porch.
No. Right.
Yeah. Right. This fucking guy did this to me at the other place. So this is what he does. That's a good I'm going to tell this now, because this is why I sent this fucker a nipple when he couldn't make it to the Super Bowl last year. So it's fucking June. And it's at the other place. So you come up the hill, I pull up, there's a fucking Christmas tree on the fucking porch. What the fuck is this? So I don't know if he waited a little bit or I call him, what the fuck is a Christmas tree doing there? Did you call me?
It was, I took it over there. It was under cover of night. I took it over and I drive around your house in that little cul-de-sac, right? And I see that the front door's open. You had the screen door and there's some lights on, but I didn't see any movement in your house. And so I kind of park down the street, and it's like a 3-foot, 4-foot Christmas tree, right? So I take this sumbitch out of the car. I go walking up in the dark. I see your neighbor, Jeremy Mayfield.
Yes. That's
and he
another.
just looks at me, like smoking a cigarette. Doesn't bother him the least bit that there's a guy walking up the driveway carrying a Christmas tree. I look, I almost, I could hear the vacuum running, so I almost put it in the house, but I thought, that'd be kind of weird. That might spook somebody, right? So I just left it on the front porch. So and then I called you the next day. I'm like, hey, do you have a Christmas tree out there?
That's what it was, yes. I knew it was. So what the killer about this whole thing is a fucking guy next door who was a fucking dick, who, by the way, did look like Jeremy Mayfield.
He did.
Sees him walk up the fucking hill with a Christmas tree. Doesn't say, like, what are you doing?
You want to know why? Because the guy's smart. He knows Doug's getting fucked with right now.
I guess so.
Because no rational person would walk up with a Christmas tree and leave it there.
Right, so, Jim's right. I ain't fucking with a guy who's got stones big enough to carry a Christmas tree.
I know there's more to this story than me going to talk to you. Well, it's like, it's like years ago, I was in a hotel room sleeping. And it was Nicole, we were dating at the time, and another couple. And we both fall asleep. I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. All right. Someone's in the bathroom. So I figure, you know what? I'll go down the hall. So I walk out of my hotel room. I figure I'll just, go pee in the bathroom on the floor. Well, there's no bathroom on the floor. And idiot me at 2:00 in the morning, I don't have my key. So I knock on the door. Everybody's back asleep. I slept in the hallway, right? So all of a sudden, I'm getting kicked, right? And I'm like, who the fuck are you? And the guy goes, who the fuck are you? And I said, you know what? If I'm asking this question, I know I'm wrong. So I'm like, you know what? Give me a second. Let me get my wits about me. And I, wake myself up. I'm like, I got up to go to the bathroom. Someone was in the bathroom. I went down the hall. I couldn't get back in. Nobody answered the door. I fell asleep. He goes, what room are you in? I said, I have no idea. And it took me another couple seconds. Yeah. And it was like I was one door over. So the guy's like, okay. He knocks on the door, and my friend opens the door, and there I am standing there like, yeah. And so no, I get it. So, but you sit there and you see someone do something like that. You're like, I'm not going to, there's more to this story than you see.
By the way, he at least didn't fall asleep and shit himself on a piece of chocolate. At least he didn't do that.
That's
true. Good one.
Allegedly.
Good one.
But my T-shirt was tucked neatly into my Sears underwear that had about 18 holes in them at the time, too.
He could have just pissed in the sink, Doug.
Yeah. That's true.
I would have, but the sink was in the bath. It wasn't like the sink that's out of the bathroom.
I heard about a guy in Tempe pissing the fucking kitchen sink once because his buddy was taking a fucking shower too long. That was in Arizona, right? That's when we stole those fucking Moscow mules. I told him about that like 3 years later. That's a full detail another time. Actually, what do I got here? So this is it. Then I need to get your words of wisdom. So, Mike, we're in Fee. It was in Tempe, right? That's the trip. Yeah. So there's a kitchen in there. So it's Monday it was Monday morning. I wake up and he's in the shower, and I really got to go. Like I got to do this, or I'm just. So I decide to piss in the sink in the kitchen part of the thing. I'm like, it's not a big deal. I got up on something there. I couldn't go over the fence. Couldn't do that.
You can't do
that. Could you went out the window?
No, the windows were closed, and plus we were up really high. So I went in the sink and just ran the water the whole time. But I felt like I'm not going to tell him. So I waited like a couple of years, and I finally told him I did that. I've pissed in the sink before. I pissed in the sink way back in the day at the Wendy's. Used to be in Peaburg once. My buddies in the pissing, so I pissed in the sink. We were both ripped, of course. I don't think neither one of us were legal age yet. That's probably not a good thing to do at a Wendy's where people were going to use it. But in the hotel where I knew we weren't going to use the kitchen anymore, I pissed in the sink. That's what happened there.
It happens.
Yeah.
You got to go.
That's true. I had no choice there. All right. We got to wrap this up. So, Mike, you got to give me, and I got a bunch of stuff for next week, but there was more time talking about shitting ourselves than everything else. So what do you have for words of wisdom to think about this week?
Doug, as I think about the upcoming Super Bowl, and everybody's going to have a good time and probably have a couple of beverages. Maybe you're lucky enough to have Monday off, like in Cincinnati, the schools are going to be out on Monday. So as you think about that, right, here's my words of wisdom for everyone. No one looks back on their life and remembers the night they got plenty of sleep. So have a good time.
Yes.
Stay up late, get hammered, enjoy the Super Bowl.
What's great about that? So what's great about that is next week we want to tell Super Bowl stories. Like whether it's when you were a kid, because we all remember pretty much every year where we were. We want to tell Super Bowl stories. And a lot of the ones that he and I have been together for involve that. Like a lot of it is completely not remembering the second half, but there are some classic moments of Super Bowl stories that we did. That's a great line because I've lived my whole life basically from that.
Oh,
I don't.
Well, Nicole always like, I don't know how you remember this stuff, and I always equate moments in life around sports.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's just maybe because we're guys, and that's how, and we're sports fans, and that's how we remember it.
Well, I got some stuff, but I'm going to save that for after. But next week I want to do Super Bowl memories. The other thing is that and then the day of the Super Bowl, we're going to try to do an edition. So we'll have 2 shows for next week to do that because there's some classic moments of Super Bowls that have
like
taken
trivia games and all that.
Well, right. Yeah, what's funny is that I noticed watching, because I was watching back or listening back to some of these, and most of what comes out of me makes no sense. I've realized that, by the way. I start going on a rant and it doesn't make any sense. But the fact that I just forgot what I was going to go with. Yeah, I completely forgot what I was going to go with there.
Senior moment.
Yeah, well, it's my fucking dog concussion is what that is. Oh, that's what it is. That Mike remembers the stories much more detailed than I do. I remember them, but he has all the details, like names of places and stuff. I just kind of remember what happened. And then except for that night he got ripped in that diner and doesn't remember being completely out of control because he was completely annihilated. But that's...
Allegedly.
No, you were.
Allegedly.
Yeah. By the way, my sister's going to be here in a couple weeks. She still claims you made those Moscow mules for her 2 years ago way too strong. Just want to point that
out. Well, I'll make them again this year.
All right. Yeah, because Tony V was here, and I told him that he was here Sunday. I told him that my sister fucking got ripped, and she fell asleep in the bed. She was yakking in the toilet, and nobody could use a bathroom. She was in there like the whole quarter and a half. And she claims Mike made the Moscow mules too strong. So she won the oar that night, by the way.
I'll tell you a quick story. Is speaking of stuff like that, years ago, I when all those flavored vodkas came out.
Yes.
Right? So
we know about that.
It was like the summertime. So I stopped over at Walsh's old house, right? And I was like, you know what, I'll just have a couple beers. And finally, I'm like, all right, you know what, Mike? Give me one of these flavored vodkas. It was like Fruit Loops or, orange creamsicle ones, right? I said, just do me a favor. Don't give me a Walsh pour. Just give me, like a regular drink, right? So again, I'm drinking like, holy shit, this shit's really fucking good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll have another one. Well, I probably had like 3 in about a 20, 25 minute span. So we drive home. All I know is I sat on the couch and I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning like this. I woke up, I'm like, fucking Walsh, and ever since then, I'm like, I'll never have Walsh pour me a drink again.
Well, that's
but
a mistake.
You learn your lesson, right?
Yes.
So
it's like getting dodged.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's happened.
Well,
too.
So somebody else has got to make her the mules in a couple weeks. That's for sure.
All right. We'll do it.
That was your best words of wisdom, by the way, because I've lived by that my entire life. All right, so Mike, thanks. We'll talk next week, and hopefully we continue. Our viewership continues to go up because this has been pretty good. But it was good talking, and we'll talk next week.
Good to see everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
See you next week.
Right.
Well, and see you in 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Once again, episode 12, right? Episode 12 of That's for Another Time. Hope you enjoyed it. Not enough shit talk, but we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna put down on the YouTube channel? Like shit, and more shit.
Yeah. Hey, we didn't talk about piss.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, see you.